how to take full advantage of the time frame feature in Follow Boss. This is a highly requested video to create, and so I believe it is now time to dive into this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk through how to take advantage of the time frame. In case you missed the update a few months ago in Follow Boss, the time frame feature is now available in the client's or lead's profile in Follow Boss. So here's a test lead. And in the left side here, there's a time frame section now where you can select a time frame. So you may be wondering what to do here, and I'll show you in a little bit. But a time frame you can set is 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 plus months, or no plans. So for example, if I speak to someone and their plan is in 3 to 6 months, I select that and the green check mark. Now, you may be wondering, well, what do I do if I already have stages based on time frame? Like for us, we use hot or warm. So I would match that with warm 3 to 6 months plus the time frame of, let me pause these action plans that auto triggered. Warm 3 to 6 months plus the time frame 3 to 6 months. Should I change my stages too? No, I don't recommend doing that. And you might think it's duplicated effort, but I'll show you why time frame is helpful, plus the stages are helpful at the same time. Now, a few key features to point out here. Time frame can be used more dynamically in SmartList than stages. So a few things here is if you hover your mouse over time frame for someone that has had a time frame set for a while, let me just find someone who has a time frame. Do we have someone? We haven't really been using, I thought we had someone who had a time frame. Here we go. So this one has had a time frame set for a while. If we hover over the time frame here in the SmartList view or in the person's profile itself, you can see when the time frame was set. And it was set 4 months ago. And then if you hover over it long enough, it shows the exact date and time that it was set. October 29th, 2024 at 11:21 a.m. And so you might notice that it is green. And when I set it on the other test lead, it's black. So when it's black, that means that we're not currently within the lead's time frame. So what does that mean? I set the time frame to be within 3 to 6 months. So it hasn't been 3 months yet since I set the time frame. But it's now almost the end, it's almost March, but February, March, April, May. Towards the end of May or beginning of June, this will turn green because that will then be within the lead's time frame that I set. So that is why this one is now green, because I set this time frame 4 months ago. We are now smack dab in the middle of this time frame, which was set 4 months ago. So 4 months have passed. We're right in the middle of the 3 to 6 month time period. So that is green. However, once a total of 7 months have passed, this color will change to red. So that's the first way it's dynamic, is the color will change as the time frame becomes now and when the time frame passes and is technically overdue. The next way you can use time frames, besides just the fact that it's nice to see it's black, green, or red, is you can create SmartList to be dynamic. So what do I mean by that? I like to use the is coming up in less than. And I would create 3 different dynamic SmartLists. And I would do I'm just verifying. And I would do coming up in less than 90 days. If someone's time frame is in less than 90 days, which is the 3 to 6 month time frame set, then I want someone to show up here to be communicated with every week. So I would set up list number 1 to be time frame less than 90 days weekly. Then I would create another list, list number 2 for GP, I'm going to start over. So the first list I would create, so just scrap what I just said. So the first list I would create is time frame is now. That means it's green, we're now in the time frame. Time frame is now. I want to follow up with these people every 7 days. So we'll create 2 filters here. Time frame is now with last communication more than 7 days ago. We'll create a new list, time frame now, weekly. And either keep it private to yourself, or if you're creating this for your team, you can share it with your sales team or everybody. And save the list. Then the next dynamic list I recommend creating is when the time frame is coming up in 90 days. These people will show up every 14 days or every other week. So this will be time frame 90 days. Bi-weekly, or that can be confusing to some people worded that way, so you can say bi-monthly. So to mean every other month. Then the third list I would create and prioritize is then the third list I would create and prioritize is 180 days to be once a quarter. The third list I would create is coming up in the next 180 days to be once a quarter. And save. Hold on, GP, don't share this part. So now the list that you just added will be at the bottom of your smart list on the left-hand side, and you can add it to your collections if you'd like. Move to collection, sales calls. Like that. So now you have 3 time frame lists. When time frame is now, it's weekly. Time frame is in the next 90 days, it's bi-monthly, and then time frame is 180 days, it's quarterly. So what's nice about the time frame is it's dynamic. So this person won't be in the 180 days list for quarterly forever. So it's a bit different than stages. If I were to stage someone as cold, they would stay in the cold list forever until I or an agent manually changes the stage from cold to something else. What's different about time frame is once I set the time frame, Follow Boss keeps track of when it was set, and once the time frame gets closer and closer, this person moves from this list to this list to this list automatically without someone having to change the time frame manually. So that's why I like creating these coming up in less than dynamic filters rather than creating static filters based on what was inputted here. So it's dynamic and people will automatically move from list to list. Now, do I recommend completely ditching the smart lists you've created based on your stages that are time frames, hot, warm, or cold? Absolutely not. Why? Because the time frame here can be missed all of the time. You can change the stage and a lead has to be assigned a stage, but a lead does not have to be assigned a time frame. And so it can be empty like this. And so if you were to remove the hot, warm, cold lists that were based on the hot, warm, cold stages, an agent could remember to change the stage but forget to add the time frame, and then they would not be in a time frame. See how I just removed the time frame for that person? They're no longer in a time frame. They're not in a time frame list, so they would be lost in the abyss. You had a great conversation, the agent changed the stage. Sure, the automation is going because we created an automation from the stage change, but there's no time frame. So the person is lost forever into the abyss because we forgot to put a time frame and because we ditched the smart list. So do I recommend ditching smart lists based on stages? No. Are these time frame smart lists helpful? Yes, but only if there is adoption across the board from you and your agents to use them. They are very helpful if there is adoption across the board because they are dynamic. As I just mentioned, leads automatically move from one list to the next one to the next one as it gets closer and closer and closer. And I would layer them in. So I would layer them in. We don't currently use the time frames, but I would layer them in like this. I would put them above hot, above warm, and above cold like this if we were using them, but we're not. So I'm gonna move them back down here. Do you need to change your stage names if you're using hot, warm, cold? No, I don't think so, and I don't think it's redundant. I mean, it is a little bit redundant because the fact they're named similarly, but there's no need to completely ditch or completely upend your system because of the time frame add-on. Now, another way to take advantage of the time frames is if you are going to start using them and you have a virtual assistant, is if you do want to start using them and you do layer them into your smart lists, have a virtual assistant check to see if your agents are actually inputting the time frame because they are helpful. So you would create smart lists just for your virtual assistant. The way you would do that is you would say, okay, if stage is hot, warm, oops. Whoa, sorry, I'm accidentally closing tabs. Sorry, GP. Let's reshare screen and redo. So you would create a smart list here for your VA to say, okay, if in Follow Boss the stage is hot, warm, or cold, but the time frame is empty. VA add time frame. And you would share with your VA. Now the VA has a lovely project to work on. These are leads that got staged, but the time frame is empty. Now the virtual assistant can add in the time frames so that these leads can layer in to the smart lists in Follow Boss here because they are dynamic. Another list that's helpful is if, let's clear the filters here. Talk time is greater than 3 minutes. But time frame is empty. Then you would say VA add time frame for that one too. And then on that note, if the stage is still lead and the time frame is empty, that's another one. So it's basically 3 lists for your VA to go through. List number 1 is if the stage is set but time frame is empty. List number 2 is if there is talk time but the time frame is empty. And what we can do is exclude specific stages, so like exclude contact stage, which means not interested. Trash stage is automatically excluded. And then list number 3 is talk time is greater than 3 and the stage is still lead. In this case, this is actually not a time frame stage, it's update stage. Because the stage is still lead. So this isn't even related to time frame, it's just updating the stage. So VA list number 1, add the time frame because the stage was changed but the time frame wasn't added. VA list number 2 is talk time was greater than 3 minutes but there's no time frame set. And then VA list number 3 is not specific to time frame, it's actually the stage. The talk time is greater than 3 but the stage is still lead. And that one, the VA will have to check. Maybe the talk time is greater than 3, but it's because a voicemail was left. So that one, the VA will have to be careful to look at the call notes. You can add another filter here to only show people with a good number. That's something that I just saw. It was showing, hold on. I'm gonna redo that. The blur mode is not working. That was something else I just noticed, was it was showing a bad number. And that's why someone was there. Only show people with good numbers. So to recap, to take advantage of time frame, it's helpful because it's color coded black, green, or red if it's past due, not yet happened, or currently happening. You can create time frame lists if it is upcoming, currently happening, or going to happen. And then you can create VA lists if you are going to start implementing the time frames and you have a virtual assistant to check for time frame if it is empty, to plug in the time frames, as well as check for talk times to plug in the time frame if the stage is not contact, and let's add in phone is good. And then create another list for stage is still lead and there was a talk time to update the stage.